How can we tell if a shirt is one of the last 4 shirts or not? We need a couple of other variables in place to do this. Let's first figure out how many products there are. You probably remember that there are 8 elements in the main products array, but we need to write code to do the calculation so that it will work even when we add more shirts. Before we display any items, let's create a variable called total products and set it equal to the number of elements in the array. Instead of specifying 8 here, let's use the count function so that the number will be correct even if we add more shirts to the products array. Let's count the products as we move through the for each loop, so we'll know the position in the array of the current product, whether it's the first element in the array or the 7th. Before the for each loop, let's create a variable called position. We'll use this variable to keep track of how many items we've looped through, so we'll start it with a value of 0. Inside the for each loop, let's increase this number by 1. As we loop over each item, one at a time, we'll add 1 to this position variable, so we'll always know the position in the array of the current product. Right now, our code executes the echo command for each element in the products array. That makes it so that all 8 shirts show up on the home page. We need to add a conditional to our code so that it will only display the shirt if it's one of the last 4 elements in the array. We have 8 shirts total, but we only want to show the last 4 on the home page. It's easy for you and me to look at the list and identify the last 4 shirts, these 4. But the code we need to write for this might not be as obvious, especially when you realize that the code should work even when we add more shirts in the future. Let's load the products array into the for each loop iterator, and I'll walk you through it step by step. The for each command goes through each shirt one at a time. We have one variable with the total number of products in the array. Since we have 8 shirts, the total products will be equal to 8. This variable won't change during the for each loop. We also have a variable in place that tracks our progress as we go through the array. Before we start the for each loop, position here will equal 0, but it will increase by 1 each time we go through the loop. After setting these 2 variables, our code enters the for each loop. The first product is the red shirt. Once inside the for each loop, our code adds 1 to the position variable, changing it from 0 to 1. To determine if this shirt is one of the last 4 shirts, we can look at the difference between these 2 variables. We can find out how many products are left in the array after this one by subtracting position from total products. At this point, the difference is 8 minus 1, which is 7. Since we have 7 shirts left to go, we know we're not looking at one of the last 4 shirts. We should just skip over this one and move on to the next one. We don't want to display this red shirt on the home page. The next stop in the for each loop is the black shirt. Position now increases to 2, and total products minus position is now 6. This means we have 6 shirts left after this one, so we don't want to display the black shirt either. After that is the blue shirt. We still have 5 shirts left after this one, so we can skip over the blue one too. Now we're at the green shirt, the 4th shirt. Position now increases to 4, and the number of shirts left after this one drops down to 4. We're very close, but we're still not quite there. The 4 that are left after this one, those are the 4 shirts we want to display. We don't want to display this green one. Now we're at the yellow shirt, the 5th shirt in the array. This shirt is one of the last 4, so we do want to display it. We know it's one of the last 4 shirts because subtracting position, which is now 5, from the total number of products, which is 8, leaves us only 3. If this number here is less than 4, if there are fewer than 4 shirts left after this one, then we know we're looking at one of the last 4 shirts. The gray shirt will be next, and the difference will drop to 2, and we'll want to display this one on the home page. For the rest of the for each loop, the number will continue to drop. It will stay less than 4 for the rest of the loop. With the teal shirt, the difference drops to 1. We'll want to show that shirt also. With the orange shirt, the difference drops to 0 because it is the last shirt. There are no more shirts after it. As long as the total products minus position is less than 4, we know we're looking at one of the last 4 shirts. Let's rewind this. As we loop through the shirts, the position number gets bigger, and the number of shirts remaining in the for each loop gets smaller. Once this number gets below 4, we'll know we're looking at the last 4 shirts. We'll display the yellow one, the teal one, the gray one, and then the orange one. Back in our index.php file, we only want to display a shirt here on the home page if total products minus position is less than 4. When the difference here is less than 4, we know we're looking at one of the last 4 shirts. We can put the code that calls our function and displays the shirt to the screen here inside the conditional. Let's make one other modification here. Instead of displaying the shirts to the screen inside the for each loop, let's build a string like we did inside the function. Before the for each loop, we'll create a variable called listViewHTML and give it a blank value. Inside the for each loop, instead of echoing out the return value of our getListViewHTML function, let's concatenate that return value to the end of the variable. This command will get executed 4 times, once for each of the last 4 shirts, and at the end of the for each loop it will contain a piece of text with 4 HTML list items in it. Outside the for each loop, we can then echo the full piece of HTML text to the screen. If we had a lot of shirts, looping through all of them just to find the most recent 4 would probably not be that efficient. There are other ways that are more efficient than this, and we'll cover those in a future project. This approach is simple enough, and with only 8 shirts, it works just fine. Let's switch over to the browser and refresh the home page. With this new conditional in place, we now only see 4 shirts, the last 4 shirts in the main products array. Mike would really like these shirts to appear in reverse order though, with the latest shirt, the orange shirt, on the left. Right now, since it's the last shirt in the array, it's the last shirt we display. But we can change that. Back in our text editor, let's modify the line of code with the concatenation. Right now, we add each new shirt to the end of the variable, after the earlier shirts. We could instead add each new shirt at the beginning of the variable, before the earlier shirts. When the array has 8 elements, the for each loop will now put the list item for the 5th shirt in the variable first, then it will add the 6th shirt in front of that one, then the 7th shirt in front of that one, and finally the 8th shirt in front of all the others. Let's refresh the page in the browser, and you'll see that the order has switched, with the orange shirt, the most recent shirt, on the left. Let's also click on this call to action to go to the shirts listing page. It doesn't have that conditional from the home page, so it displays all 8 shirts. I'm not sure why, but all this talk about functions has made me hungry. Let's take a break, a quiz, get some lunch, and regroup in a bit. We have just a couple of things to finish before Mike gets back from the printer.